What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another My Week With video. And this week I've been driving the 2026 Toyota RAV4 GR Sport. And man, I love this thing. It's not perfect. We'll get into all the pros and the cons after living with one of these for a week. I did a full review on this last year. So if you want to hear all the specs, all the deep dive on the interior, and all of my thoughts on the changes for the GR Sport version and the RAV4s in general, definitely check out the full video, the full review. I'll link that in the description here as well as in the end cards if you want to see, all about these and get all the info if this is new to you. But for anyone who's familiar with these and is just interested in my thoughts here after a week, this thing is so much fun to live with for a week. And I've actually been really surprised with multiple things. I've been surprised by the efficiency. I've been surprised by actually how sporty it feels and how much different it feels over a regular RAV4. And it's just been a real nice thing to live with. But the one thing that is missing, you can probably tell right off the bat, is sound. There is really no sound aside from just the regular hybrid engine sound, but there's no piped in exhaust note, there's no actual exhaust note, there's none of that. And while we're on the topic of sound, I want to give a huge thank you to Thermal R&D Performance for sponsoring today's video. They have 40 years of experience building exhaust systems right here in the USA. Their true Helmholtz technology is specifically engineered to kill interior drone without sacrificing that deep, aggressive exhaust note that you actually want. They've got bolt-on systems for the Ford Explorer ST, the Civic Si, the F-150, and they even have a system for the Tacoma in the works. So links in the description, go check out what fits your build. And man, I really wish they made an exhaust system for the GR Sport version of the RAV4 here, because it really does need that sound. And I complained about this on the first drive, but that is really the biggest thing that's missing from this sporty experience. And if it had that, it'd be pretty close to perfect, but there are a few other shortcomings as well. But as far as the actual drive here in these, they're really well done. So you have, a 0.6-inch lower suspension. This one is actually on the all-season tires, which are a free option. These do come with the Dunlop SP Sport Max tire. If you do actually want summer tire performance, you can get that in a RAV4, which is a really cool thing that they offer. But combined with the various bracing that you have here in this is actually a really dynamic handler. And it's been so impressive to me this week just how effortless the handling is. The steering is nice and light, but it is very precise. But I think what I'm really feeling and what I'm appreciating now on these tighter back roads compared to the more wide open sweeping corners of Arizona when I first reviewed this is that this has this posture control system. And it's not quite torque vectoring, but it uses the electronics in the vehicle to try and minimize your body roll and stabilize the vehicle. And I think that that's what I'm feeling, because it feels not artificial, but it feels almost too good with the handling. Like I'm defying physics and I'm not sure how. It feels really, really good, even with just these regular all seasons. And I have to just chalk it up to that, because I don't think that, slight tweaks to suspension and a slightly lower ride height is doing that much. And those extra braces are certainly welcome, but I don't think that's dramatically changing this either. But the GR Sport is a nice improvement, because I lived with a RAV4 Limited for a week. That, is very nice, handles well like you'd expect for something like that, but it's not as nearly as dynamic as this is. And so I'm just very, very happy with how this thing drives. And I wasn't expecting to actually love it this much, to be completely honest. Another thing I've been loving though is the really nice punch that you get from this thing. 324 horsepower, 22 more horsepower than the last RAV4 Prime and RAV4 plug-in hybrid. And it's really punchy, but it's not even just full throttle acceleration that's impressive. It's the fact that it has these stronger electric motors in the plug-in hybrid, so that I'm able to do more engine off driving. And even when I'm not in a sporty mood, what I've noticed is that the engine doesn't have to work quite as often. And so oftentimes, even when it's in hybrid mode and the gas engine is running, it's almost running like a generator, because I feel like I'm still using almost exclusively the electric motors to actually give me my forward propulsion, and the engine just happens to be idling in the background. And so, in prior plug-in hybrid RAV4s and even, the regular hybrids, there's a lot more of the buzzy engine going, rah, rah, and is always, working hard to, give you what you're looking for, which is great. It's very responsive. But with this, I found that most of the week the engine was just idling. And whether that was idling on the highway or idling, whatever I'm doing, around town, light acceleration, even once the battery had completely drained to the point where it was just, you know, functioning as a regular hybrid, it just was really, really impressive with just how much power it had. And I think it also will help these, not like they were ever unreliable. These have always been top-notch reliability, but I think now they're going to be even better because the engine is just really relaxing a large amount of your driving time here, especially considering the electric range, which is the other thing, the efficiency of this thing. And the fact that they apparently underrated the performance is also super impressive. So these do supposedly 49 miles of electric range for the GR Sport version. You can get up to 54 miles of electric range is what they're rated at for the SE, and then the other trims fall somewhere in the middle there. And so I was expecting 49 miles. What I ended up getting was 60 miles of electric driving. Just, you know, one charge, fully topped up battery, and then I actually did about half of my driving on the highway. So we're not talking easy stop and go or, you know, easy cruising that would be really good for hypermiling. Like I was doing, you know, 70 miles an hour on the highway for half of that time, fighting the wind resistance and also having these crossbars, which I don't know why they optioned this press car to have crossbars on the GR Sport. But anyway, you know, that also probably hurts efficiency, and I'm still getting 60 miles of electric range from the least efficient version of the plug-in hybrid RAV4, which means I'm pretty certain you'd get even higher, you know, into the low to mid 60s for, you know, the more efficient versions. And so that was super shocking. The other thing that was super shocking in a great way is that whenever the electric, you know, battery is totally done, you go down to about 37 mpg combined is what these are rated at, which, you know, makes sense because it's a little less efficient than a regular hybrid RAV4 because you're dragging around the extra battery pack, and, you know, that's a lot of weight. But impressively, both highway driving and around town, I'd say that was primarily highway driving with my gas driving, but I did do some around town driving in that time period as well. But I'm averaging 39.7 mpg. And again, even as a regular hybrid, this would actually do better in around town than on the highway. So I was probably even doing the worst efficiency on the highway, you know, driving against 70 miles per hour. And I'm getting 40 mpg just with, you know, regular gas power here too, which means it's still super efficient, better than regular hybrid versions of all of the competitors, even while dragging around this big heavy battery pack. And, you know, I mean, oftentimes I have vehicles that will like hit the MPG ratings, but it's extremely rare that I ever have anything overperform its EPA rating. It's very, very infrequent. And, you know, as far as plug-in hybrids goes, I don't think I've actually ever had one overperform what it claimed to be able to do as far as electric driving. And so I'm just really impressed. And also, during those 60 miles of electric driving, it's no penalty box. This is a nice, strong electric motor setup. I believe whenever I was on the press launch, we were getting somewhere in the vicinity of like a low 8-second time here in these. And, you know, not super fast, but that'll still, you know, keep up with the average crossovers with 200 odd horsepower or so. You know, it'll still keep up with those just fine. And being electric here, you have that instant electric punch, so you can, you know, get nice and assertive acceleration off the line. And yeah, I mean, but with 60 miles of electric driving, if you plug this thing in every night, even on a level 1, which is how I charged it, you know, it took, I think, about 16 hours to fully charge the battery on a level 1, you know, just house current plug. But like, you know, if the car sits, you know, you get home in the evening, it sits until 7 a.m. or something, you will pretty much have a full battery every day, and you'll probably have some battery charge left over if you do the average amount of driving like the average American does, you know, commuting around 30 odd miles every day, or even double that. You could cover and never touch the gas engine in this thing. I've always loved plug-in hybrids, and I've loved Toyota's approach and just how well they've done them. So this isn't, you know, anything new, but it's just really impressive how they've really highly advanced this for this new generation versus the last one, you know, getting low 40 miles of electric range. You know, this is a huge improvement. In addition to all the other improvements, you know, it's quieter in here, and now you have this fun sportier version for people who wanted that. It's so much better in all the ways. But there are a few things as far as packaging goes that I still don't love. So it was pretty hot this week, and this vehicle still has no ventilated seats. The GR Sport is kind of based on a mid-grade. It's not getting all the same top stuff as a top RAV4. So that means that, you know, you don't have ventilated seats. I also had no moonroof whatsoever, like not even a small one, versus this car's assessed price is about $51,000. You pay 51 grand for, you know, in the other versions of the plug-in hybrid, you know, RAV4, you are going to be getting, you know, those nice touches, those extra features. And also these Alcantara seats, I just don't love Alcantara. And even though this one is kind of perforated, it doesn't breathe as well as actual perforated leatherette like you get with the other, you know, RAV4s, or even as good as cloth. And I found myself having a real, you know, just hot back all week driving around in this thing. So I don't love that. Personally, if it were me, as much as I love the handling goodies of the GR Sport, unless they someday offer, you know, a premium package for GR Sport, I just go for XSE and, you know, live with the slightly worse handling. But I will say that these seats are very comfortable, and the comfort of this vehicle, by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, we're talking about the handling, but like it does all this wonderful handling, all this sharp driving with a smooth ride. I did almost 300 miles of driving here this week in this, and fair share of bumpy roads and all that like we have around here, and it's been super comfortable. And I've been so impressed with that too, that there is no compromise. It's not like, oh, okay, we got for the GR Sport version, buckle up for, you know, a rough ride and this, that, and the other. Like, no, there's no compromise. It's just sportier looks, better handling, but no worse ride quality whatsoever. Now, the other little things I don't love, again, packaging kind of things, is we still get the base stereo here in the GR Sport. You don't get the upgraded JBL stereo, and this base stereo is just kind of meh. It's not awful, but Toyota, they don't do very good stereos still. Most of the others do have better stereos, even when you go up to the JBL, but it'd be nice to at least try by offering the JBL there, and instead, you know, we just have the base stereo. But it's not terrible. It depends on what kind of music you're listening to, and, you know, if you're just listening to podcasts and stuff, you're not going to mind. But yeah, that is certainly one of the other weak points here of this, is the creature comforts of the GR Sport in particular. And the final thing to talk about is the Toyota Safety Sense 4.0 system, because this is a new system for the RAV4. They're just rolling out here. It's the next evolution of, you know, this Toyota Safety Sense. And what I found was that I still wish it was smarter, primarily with just the steering wheel detection, because, you know, I had the adaptive cruise control system on with lane keeping assist, which all worked very well. But every single time I was driving this with that on, if I'm not fighting the wheel every 5 to 10 seconds, it would tell me, keep your hands on the wheel, put your hands on the wheel. We're going to turn off you know, cruise control for you. Don't put your hands on the wheel. And it kept giving me those warnings. So I'd always, every 5 or 10 seconds, do a little nudge or do a little tap, or, you know, shake the wheel a little bit to give it that torque, because it's just such a dumb recognition system that it can't figure out that my hands are on the wheel unless I'm sitting there sawing at the wheel. And there's, you know, more intelligent systems, and especially brand new RAV4, brand new steering wheel, brand new technology. Why not incorporate the touch sensors that other vehicles do offer and do have, where it just is pressure sensitive? It can feel your grip on the wheel without you having to sit there and pretend to do a slalom course in order to get the car to recognize that your hands are on the wheel. So, you know, just annoying. I would just say, if that kind of stuff annoys you, just pretend you don't have lane keep assist, turn it off, and then the car won't scold you for that, and then you just drive like you've been driving your whole life. But it's, you know, others do have really good lane keep assist systems, and this one is very good too, but it's just kind of a pain to use, unfortunately. But yeah, so overall, I really like the RAV4 GR Sport here. You know, the final thing I'll also say is, you know, back whenever I did the first review, we didn't have pricing for these yet. And now we do know that, again, like this one with the premium paint, the two-tone thing, which adds about almost $1,000 between those two, it's about $51,000. And so if there were competitors, I'd, you know, do a pricing comparison here and talk about, you know, how it compares to the competition. But when we're talking about GR Sport, there is no competitor. No one offers a sporty version like this. And so as a result, this is, you know, completely running unopposed here. And so you can't argue with the price tag, but I do wish that they would have a premium version, because even the RAV4 Prime for the last generation, towards the end of its life, you know, I mean, the price kind of inflated to the point where they were like 54, 55. I like that this is only 51, and I appreciate them really trying to cut back, and that's fine. I think offering this trim is good, but I think they should offer a premium package, give you the pano roof, give you the ventilated seats, and that's really it. Those are then the JBL stereo, those three things. Put those three things in a premium pack and charge another, you know, $2,500 or $3,000 or whatever you want. And then all of my packaging complaints would be gone. But man, this thing is so fun. And with a front bias power delivery too, it does feel almost like a hot hatch in a lot of ways. And with the lower ride height, it kind of feels almost just like it's a tall wagon in a way. And yeah, I'm just really digging the GR Sport. Please offer a premium package, Toyota. And then I think this thing would be pretty much perfect in my opinion, aside from just, you know, adding a little sound clip just so you have some kind of sound even in electric mode. It'd be very nice for them to offer you know, that just extra engagement of having some kind of sound that you could turn on or off depending on how you feel. But I think that would be the only other thing I could say to improve these. But overall, yeah, I love these things. Huge thanks to Toyota for providing me here with this vehicle to review for you guys today. Huge thanks once again to Thermal R&D Performance for sponsoring this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Definitely be sure to go watch my full review if you want to hear more thoughts on this, or check out my reviews on the others there if you want to hear my thoughts on the regular RAV4 or on the Woodland version there. But anyway, thank you all so much once again for watching this one. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.